look at you, them to me. Don't you worry, it's okay to take a peek. See the magic words now.
Okay, so the first book we have today is October Junction. This is my last read. And the story here follows two people, Chitra and Sudeep. Chitra is an aspiring writer, whereas Sudeep is a successful investor slash businessman. They meet for the first time in Banaras and decide to meet again next year on the same date, that is October 10, hence the name October Junction. We follow both characters' story, that is Sudeep's side and Chitra's side. I personally liked Sudeep's side more, and what I liked the most about this particular book would be the language, because the way the writer narrates the story while also giving us his opinions and ideas is something that just sat right with me. And somewhere I saw the end coming. Nevertheless, it was a very good book. Next, we have the Hidden Hindu series. The series has 3 books. It is a trilogy, which is the Hidden Hindu 1, 2, and 3. Now, this is the first series or books I have read of this writer, again, that is Akshat Gupta sir. And here is what I think. First of all, I overall enjoyed the series, and part of the reason was my fascination of the Hindu legendary warriors. Second point, if you do not have any preliminary knowledge about the Mahabharata or the Hindu text in general, it will be a little challenging to get introduced to the characters, but don't worry, the writer makes sure that the characters are introduced well on their own. Moving on to the first book of the series, it kept me hooked. Essentially, what happens is that we find a 21-year-old Prithvi who is searching for a man named Om Shastri, who is an Aghori. Now, when Om was hypnotized and interrogated by a team of specialists, he claimed to have witnessed all the 4 yugas and participate in both the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. We also find that Om has been looking for the other immortals as well. Now, I do not intend on spoiling the rest of the story for you. Even this part was not a spoiler, by the way. Now, the second book is a game of cat and mouse. We are taken through a series of important Hindu places which hold some sort of cultural significance, while Om tries to find out who he really is. I really loved how these places were incorporated into the story, and I was really shocked at how Ved Vyasa's character was portrayed, and I am still in awe of his abilities. Now, book 3 had all the loose ends tied, and I liked how everything fit just right. I also wanted to mention that the writer has kind of hinted at the continuation of the story with Ashwathama's current state, and I'd like to see how he follows through it. And now, no amount of reading would have prepared me for the identity reveal at the end. It completely blew my mind, and I definitely loved the series. Next on the line is Samsara, Enter the Valley of Gods. I have tried reading this book once but had a hard time getting into it. So I'll update upon this on my next book review. Now, this one is the first book of the Ramchandra series. The series has total 4 books, and although I am only 24 pages in, I had to start annotating this book because I love the dialogues. What I found to be the best part is the portrayal of Ravan. His personality has been constructed, more like is being constructed throughout the book, like someone who has a strong sense of belief in his abilities as a warrior. It is what I felt in the standoff between Ravan and Dasharath. I am eager to see how this story unfolds for me. I have really high expectations for this book. I will update when I have completed reading this book. Next we have 1971 Charge of Gorkhas and Other Stories by Rachna Bisht Rawat. As the title suggests, this book is about the stories of the soldiers who fought in the 1971 India-Pakistan War. I got this book as a gift, and it has been close to 2 years ever since I have been gifted this one, but I just cannot get myself to finish it. The emotions that I encountered while I was reading this book were too much, and to think that all these stories are based on real life incident is even more heartbreaking. I know no soldier fights for fame, nor does any citizen forget their sacrifices, but somewhere when life is happening to you, you tend to forget that there are so many courageous men that sacrifice their life for our freedom. I feel like you should really read this book, At least for me, this really changed how I viewed my freedom as a citizen of this country. And I feel like that is a very huge impact one book can make on a person. This is Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye by Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon. Now, this is an autobiography. What really stood out to me was the manner in which the general shared his life's most beautiful and even the most challenging experiences. It felt as if I have almost witnessed them myself, especially the chicken sandwich one. I really enjoyed the humor mentioned in this book. Now, you need not be interested in the armed forces to read this book. There were a lot of things here in the book that I will remember forever. Especially the quote, "What will be, the future is not ours to see." I have annotated this book because some things were just too good to miss out upon. Especially this line, आर्मी एक जॉब नहीं है, मोहब्बत है, और मोहब्बत में challenges नहीं, अफसाने होते हैं. This is something the general shared to a college student. The line was very filmy, but we as Indians tend to like things like this as well. And I assure you, there are multiple incidences in this book that will keep you entertained. It is also quite a knowledgeable book. You should definitely give it a try. Next, we move on to the more popular books, and the first one down the line is the Cruel Prince series. Now, if you have been into reading for a while, you must have surely come across this series, and I do not wish to bore you further, so I'll keep it crisp. Now, the main character is Jude, who is kidnapped and taken into a fairy court, and Jude must learn to survive as a human there. However, the stairway to power is fraught with shadows and betrayal. And it does not help in her case that looming over her is an arrogant prince, Prince Carden. This series was good. That is it. I enjoyed the fantasy element and the fact that all female characters had substance in their personalities was chef's kisses, because a lot of times we see female characters with nothing. They're there just for the plot of the male character. I really enjoyed that this book focused on the female character, her development arc, and the romance was a subplot, not the main plot of the story. If you enjoy reading about fantasy and are looking for a strong female character, you should try this one. This is the From Blood and Ash series, and I have read it till War of Two Queens, which is the fourth book in this series. I feel like we have two or three more to come after that. Now, the reason why I love this series is because this was my first high fantasy series, and I had gone in there completely blind. This was my introduction to fantasy and romance. There are two things you must consider before you decide to dive into this. First, there is an unnecessary amount of smut at times, and you will have to skip it over if you do not enjoy it. And second, that the books are pretty long and become dragging as the series progresses. Essentially, we have Poppy, who is the maiden, the chosen one from birth, to usher into a new era. Now, she is kept kind of isolated from the rest of the world. She is not to be spoken to or talked to. However, when Hawk enters her life, things start to change. Next, I have Crave. Now, I don't have much to say about this book except that I did not finish it and will probably never finish it because the main character of the story really cringed me out, man. The sentence that did it for me was something along the lines that I am not beautiful like other girls because I have freckles or something. I closed this book right then and I have never opened it to read it again. If you do, however, find yourself interested or curious, then this book is about Grace, who is dealing with the loss of her parents and ends up joining an academy, which is very special because the students there are not really humans. It is kind of a vampire or more focused upon the Twilight series if you are interested. Mindset by Dr. Carol S. Dweck is my absolute favorite. Absolute favorite book. It is a book that has literally helped shape me into the kind of person I am today. I am not kidding when I say that I think about this book daily. I have a lot of favorite quotes from here, and this book really explores the concept of mindset. It has questions like why do people differ? What are the two mindsets? What is success about? Learning or proving you are smart? What are labels and their effects? Also praises. and it also explores the concept of a growth mindset. This is one book that I would recommend to every single person, regardless of your age, gender, or anything. This is one book that everyone should read at least once. And the last book for today is The Magic of Thinking Big. Now, this book is one of the first books I have read, and you can tell by the condition of the book that I read this pretty often. This book has had a significant impact on my take at life, and the book does exactly as it suggests in its title: how to think big, what thinking big is, and how it affects your life. This and The Mindset are the books that solidified my values, and I will forever be grateful to these books for that.